Welcome to this week's live Monday Music Motivation. Happy Labor Day for anybody who's here watching it live on Labor Day and in the US. Today, I wanted to talk about this sort of epiphany that I had actually just last night that I think was kind of interesting when it comes to practicing and sort of our growth and our journey and how we're progressing as musicians and a little bit as people too. It applies to all areas of life. And this ties into Carol Dweck's idea of growth mindset and all of that good stuff. So I want to just quickly summarize that. This comes from Carol Dweck, who's an author and I think a researcher at a university as well. I'm not 100% sure, but she wrote a book titled Mindset. And in that book, it talks about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And I think we've heard these things before. We sort of have an intuitive understanding of a fixed versus a growth mindset. But what it is this idea that some people, or I think it might even apply to some circumstances or some things, we have this fixed mindset. And then sometimes we have a growth mindset. And the difference is a fixed mindset is this idea that you're sort of fixed. Like you can do something or you can't do something. Your skill is a fixed thing. And again, I think there's varying degrees of how intensely we feel this and how much we relate to it. But somebody with a fixed mindset will approach a math test and they'll think this test is testing my abilities, and whatever score I get on this is a reflection of my abilities in math, and that's what it's going to be forever. I think a lot of standardized testing, IQ tests, ACT, SAT, those kinds of things kind of have this fixed mindset approach to them where it's like, I got whatever score on the ACT, so that's how smart I am. A growth mindset is a little bit the opposite of that, where there's more flexibility to it. And the growth mindset says you take that math test or the ACT or the SAT or whatever test you're taking, and that's just an indication of your performance sort of in that moment. And no matter what you get, you could do better or worse the next time because we sort of have that flexibility and that growth. Nothing is fixed and static. We're always developing and changing and adapting. And I think when we hear that, we think, oh yeah, obviously we should have the growth mindset, especially when it comes to playing clarinet and doing music. It's really important to have a growth mindset and be adaptable and flexible and know that you can practice more and learn something that you can't do today. In however much time of practice, you'll be able to do it. And that's the intuitive and like nice sort of warm fuzzy side of the growth mindset that I think we all are striving for, and it's very intuitive to feel that way. Hopefully you're not like, oh, I squeaked on that note, so I just squeak on that note. I'm always going to squeak on that note because that's just a fixed part of my personality and anatomy. I don't think we think about it that way. We always think that we can learn and develop. But you can expand the growth mindset in a few ways. In one positive way is you can really believe and trust that even the stuff that's very difficult for you, maybe you can't tongue fast enough, maybe the high notes are really challenging, even those things you can grow and adapt and change and eventually be able to do them comfortably and confidently. But then there's another side of it that if we extend it further, which was the epiphany that I had last night, that makes it a little bit less motivating perhaps, but also is a very important thing. So last night I was thinking I was sort of struggling, and it dawned on me that if we have a growth mindset for our ability and we think adaptably and flexibly, then that actually means that we're not going to be performing our best all the time. And there's sort of this dichotomy between, even if you have a basic growth mindset, you may still have an idea of fixed progress. So what that means is like a truly fixed mindset is I'm at this level, I'm always going to be at this level. A growth mindset with fixed progress means I'm at this level, but I can work and I can grow to this level. And then I can work and I can grow to this level. And then I can work and grow to this level. But this level is fixed. You started out here playing Mary Had a Little Lamb. You worked on it, you learned, you got better at it, you got more comfortable, and you moved up to this level. So now you're saying, I can play Mary Had a Little Lamb all the time, anytime. Now I'm going to move on to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or whatever that progression looks like for you. But it is somewhat like that. Like, yes, we can all probably play Mary Had a Little Lamb now. Like, that is fixed progress. We've accomplished that and sort of checked it off the list. But I don't think it always works that way. Today, I can articulate 16th notes at 120, but maybe not tomorrow. Or maybe I can reach a new speed barrier, a new quality. I learn a new difficult piece, and it feels good today, but maybe the next day it doesn't feel as good. And I think when you adopt a true growth mindset, you realize that it's not fixed progress. It's not like, okay, I achieved this, now I can always do that. Okay, I achieved this, now I can always do that. Growth mindset is really about being totally flexible and understanding that the results that you're getting are always dependent on a lot of different variables and the input that you're putting into it. So if I try really hard and warm up really well and find a good read, then I can articulate 16th notes at 120 all day. If I'm having a little bit of an off day, if the barometric pressure of the atmosphere is not quite right, if the read is not my best read, if I'm a little bit tired, 16th notes at 120 might be a stretch. Maybe I can do a burst of a measure or two, but doing it much more than that is really taxing. So whatever that is, remember that the progress is not fixed. And when you have off days and you think, oh, I should be able to do this, but it's just not happening today, shift to growth progress, flexible progress, growth mindset, and realize that it's all right that it's not happening for you today. You can keep working at it and keep growing with it. And sometimes we start here and we grow from there. Other days we start here and have to grow back to where we've maybe been at our peak before and then try to push beyond that. But there's no such thing as fixed progress when it comes to this stuff. And I think we all should be thinking about having a growth mindset, and I'll be working on having a growth mindset. So we need to also extend that to our progress and realize that our progress is going to be flexible as well. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of motivation and inspiration. Now, before we go, or right after this is done, make sure that you fill out your template and plan your practice for the week. That's another way that we can be sort of growth and fixed progress, is if you planned your practice really well and really stuck to it really well last week, that's awesome. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's automatically going to happen this week. We got to keep putting in the work, keep putting in the motivation, keep filling out the template. Just because we practiced this well last week doesn't automatically mean we're going to practice this well this week, because it's all flexible and all adaptable. But we can help ourselves out by filling out the template. So here it is. You can go to the link in the description, quickstartclarinet.com/get started, to get a blank version of this PDF, or you can create it for yourself. We have the date for the week, the reflection of how things are going, the goal for this week, and then most importantly, our plan for what we're going to do when. For me, I've been working through the scale reset from Digital Clarinet Academy. Awesome resource. Highly recommend it. I think it's 28-day scale reset. You should be able to find it on the Digital Clarinet Academy website. Hopefully it's very affordable and a whole ton of content. I've been trying to sort of get back into etudes and things like that and keep my fundamentals going, which I think is really working. I found when I did the chromatic scale packet from the scale reset last week, and working through the whole thing, I was like warmed up and ready to go. So I'm going to keep going with that to keep those fundamentals growing. And then I have some concert music to work on, some recital stuff that I'm working on. I have some new music for some performances coming up next year to start diving into. So I'm starting to get some new stuff to dig into, which I'm looking forward to this week. So that's me personally. Take your plan, whatever you're working on, put it into your calendar, put it into your planner, put it into your schedule, set reminders on your phone, whatever you need to do to make sure that you actually keep growing on your practice habits and practice routine this week. I hope you all have a fantastic week of practice. I hope you have a great Labor Day if you're watching this live and in the US. Thanks so much for watching this week's Monday Music Motivation, and I will see you next week for the next live Monday Music Motivation. Have a great week, everybody. Get that practice in your calendar and have the most productive week of practice. And then maybe next week's not as good, maybe next week's better, but keep growing, keep being flexible, and have a great week. Bye.